1 year ago today, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, made his WWE debut. And I was there. What's going on out there, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot for Watch Along Wrestling. Hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. If it is your first time stumbling across the channel, welcome aboard. Make sure you leave a big thumbs up and subscribe to Watch Along Wrestling. Alright, so the reason for this video here today is actually quite simple. I had logged into my Facebook, as I usually do in the morning. Catch up on a little social media, do that whole deal. And sitting right there is a photo of my brother-in-law and I in front of the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. And I'll be honest with you guys, feeling a little nostalgic, alright? I understand that, like, on the large scheme of things, the pandemic affecting the amount of live wrestling shows that somebody can go to is way down on the list. And hopefully, I pray that everybody, health-wise, for you and your loved ones, are doing well and are safe, and obviously that is first priority. But on a much lighter note, last year was probably at about 12 to 15 wrestling shows throughout the entire year. And obviously this year I haven't been to a single one. And this was like over 6-7 different states, including pay-per-views, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, everything last year. And so, you know, when I saw that post this morning of my brother-in-law and I in front of the Nassau Coliseum, it reminded me that 1 year ago today, that's exactly where I was for WWE Monday Night Raw. A show I thought would have ended up being a bit of a throwaway, but actually ended up being quite newsworthy and pretty memorable. So let's circle back now about a year ago so that you guys know exactly where we're at this point in time. This is the night after WWE Extreme Rules, and personally in my life, I'll share with you guys that this week, about a year ago, was when my wife had told me that we were expecting our first child. So we had, I had tickets to go to Extreme Rules with a buddy of mine who lives down in Philadelphia, and did not go. And the reason why is because my wife had told me that in order to celebrate, she had gotten us kind of a wine tasting that was scheduled for that afternoon. We're absolutely on cloud nine, just so excited about it. Decided to go do the little wine tasting. Obviously, I did all of the wine tasting. You little son of a guns. Wife didn't have any wine, but it was just great. Absolute cloud nine. And I mean, in retrospect, I kind of regret not going to the Extreme Rules show. Not because I didn't have a great time with my wife, but because that Extreme Rules show, first off, was great. And second of all, not only did it feature a Brock Lesnar cash-in for the Universal Championship, but it also featured what ended up being the final match, at least unless I guess there's an emergency and break glass and call The Undertaker, the final match in the United States of The Undertaker. So that was a show I could have gone to, I planned to go to, and decided not to. So many years, from like 2009 all the way through 2020, I was at all these different shows. Gotta go, gotta see Undertaker, gotta go. This is his last chance to be his last match, and lo and behold, there I was, Extreme Rules, and did not go to the show. But I was not missing the next night. As you guys know, Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, my favorite venue right there on Long Island. I know people give it a bit of a bad rap for the crowd not always being the hottest, but for me, this is where I grew up going to shows, many shows. My first pay-per-view, SummerSlam 2002, first live pay-per-view, was right there at Nassau Coliseum. I graduated high school in the building, so that building right there means a lot to me, and whenever WWE returns to the building, I try to make it down. This was kind of my wife's suggestion, too. She said, hey, you missed the pay-per-view last night. Why don't you go down and check out Raw? So that's exactly what I did. My brother-in-law and I went down there, and actually, I'll throw down in the comment section below our full vlog from that day. I went to a place called the Green Turtle, which was awesome. Such good food. Really enjoyed that. Obviously, you know me. Part of going to the show is going somewhere to eat, either right before or right after, so you can kind of take it in with all the crowd and everyone just kind of getting excited. So that was fun being there at the Green Turtle. Everyone in wrestling shirts. And unbeknownst to us at the time, not only were we going to get a Brock Lesnar appearance, which is always crazy. I always feel like it kind of steps it up a bit whenever Brock shows up on Raw. This was also the time where Paul Heyman had just taken over as head booker for Raw, which just ended a couple weeks ago, and obviously things kind of shifted over there where Bruce Pritchard took things over, for Raw and for SmackDown now. But at the time, Paul Heyman was overseeing Raw, and actually, if you go back and watch the opening promo for that show, he even alludes to it. He says something like, I don't know if you guys have heard, but I'm right now, bless you, my daughter over here, sneezing. I don't know if you guys had heard, I now call the shots over here. And so it was an interesting time, and just thinking back, like, this was only a year ago, and so much has changed. I mean, this is right after the club had kind of reformed the OC with AJ Styles and obviously Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows. They're not even in the company anymore. Myself, just finding out I have a child now, sitting here just off camera is my 4-month-old. So crazy, crazy time. Just it's insane how quickly things can really change in the landscape of things. But this night is probably most well remembered for the debut of the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yes, the packages for the Fiend, Bray Wyatt actually started the night after WrestleMania. A show was at, and right there in the Barclays Center, Raw. They started showing the vignettes, and everyone was like, I wonder what that's about. But really, the anticipation, these vignettes were so great. The Firefly Funhouse vignettes were so great, and finally, on this night, this random Raw, night after Extreme Rules, preparing and getting us ready for SummerSlam, was the debut of The Fiend. And I just remember, if you can go back and you watch that vlog, I have a little footage of The Fiend making his debut, and people just losing their mind. They're chanting, holy shit, the second he's even seen. It's just a testament to Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, who has just reinvented himself time and time again. You go back and you watch him when he's in the new Nexus as Husky Harris. I mean, this guy is in a know-nothing character, and ends up coming back, reinventing himself just a couple years later, debuts as the cult leader, Bray Wyatt. He's the hottest character in WWE from, like, I'd say summer of 2013 until WrestleMania 30, when, for whatever reason, he loses to Cena, and I think they did a number on the character, and he never really fully recovered from that. But now here he was again, legitimately, like, a brand new character that was so hot, and I mean, you even go back and you watch that vlog, the guy next to me screams, he's like, oh my god, it's Braun! And obviously, he means Bray, but he was just so excited, and I mean, grown men were hugging each other, high-fiving, jumping up and down. It was a sight to see, and it's just crazy, like, that character picked up so much steam so fast, and people were so amped for it. I remember leaving the building that night, and people were going nuts for Bray, and playing his theme in the car, and everyone was just so excited, and this obviously would lead to his match with Finn Balor at SummerSlam, where he debuted the new entrance music, and he'd come out with the creepy headlamp, and unbelievable. Just such a cool moment to be there for. It always is. It's a reminder that, like, if ever WWE is in your town and you're thinking, hey, I don't really necessarily want to go, it's not worth my time, they're not going to do anything monumental, anything like that, go to the show. You won't be disappointed. So much fun. And I mean, it's a shame because I feel like WWE doesn't do very well when things get really hot. When a character is really hot, WWE hotshots them to the moon. This Fiend character, it's like they had Seth Rollins, who was cemented now finally as his first run as the top babyface in WWE. They were going to build WWE around Seth Rollins. And what ends up happening? I mean, they end up taking the title right off him, giving him to the Fiend within just a couple of months. My daughter's getting a little upset here, so they're probably on borrowed time here on this thing. And this is what WWE does. I mean, they always go with whatever's hot, and they go full tilt, rather than that slow burn, that slow build. How about you build Rollins up to have a big top run as a babyface, and then you build the Fiend up on the other side? You could have led that, you could have had that match go all the way until WrestleMania. Instead, you blew it on like one of the Saudi shows and a Hell in a Cell, and it could have meant so much more. And instead, it's like now you had a champion in the Fiend who doesn't sell, who doesn't lose, and he's kind of just running roughshod through the roster. And I think could have meant a lot more. Like, could you imagine if he had done... My fantasy booking was you bring Finn Balor back as the Demon, win the Rumble, and then that's where you go with that. You have Balor kind of coming back after being put on the shelf there at SummerSlam. Not the way they went, but they could have went with anything. You could have had McIntyre go against the Fiend and take the Fiend down. But instead, I mean, don't even get me started on the idea that the Fiend loses the belt to Goldberg, of all people, who's like way past his prime. I know a lot of people love Goldberg, and at the time I did too, but he's way past his prime, and I feel like that decision was incredibly short-sighted. And again now, here we are, a year later, and I feel like the Fiend's taken a couple of steps back, which is really a shame. Let me know what you think about the Fiend. Let me know your favorite moments. Do you think this is a character that can be rehabilitated a bit and can be brought back to where we were a year from now, getting holy shit chance just on the guy's debut alone because of how badass he looked? Let me know, and I will talk to you guys again real soon.